Hello everybody, I just cut my hair. I put some layers in it and trimmed it up a bit and just decided to go ahead and make a YouTube video. I don't know if you call it a tutorial. I'm not a hairstylist. I don't have any formal training and I wouldn't want to tell anybody to do something and then have them botch their hair and be mad at me. But I just wanted to kind of show you guys in case you're interested in how I cut my own hair, how I do that. And I've been cutting my hair for about 2 years now because I've had a lot of bad experiences with stylists, and it always seems like even if I like it, there's always like, it seems like there's always like a hole right here, or they put a shelf in it. So it's just easier for me to do it at home, and I know what I like and I know what I want, and I can just kind of adjust it. But yeah, I love having the control of being able to cut my hair and style my hair. The only thing I don't have down is coloring it, which I'm thinking I need at least a few highlights pretty soon, but that will be for another day and not by me. So anyway, this is how I cut my hair. So the first thing I do is section it off midway behind the ears and then just twist it up and pin it back. After I do that, after I clip it up, I'm going to take it straight down the back, make a part straight down the back and then pull it down on each side. Then take my fingers, slide it down, and then make my first cut straight across. And the first time it ended up kind of jagged, so I made sure that I didn't take exactly as much off as I wanted. I left a little for, just for a little room for air, and I just kind of keep trimming it. It takes me a little while to get it perfectly the way that I want it, so I just keep adjusting it. I do it on the other side about where I think about an inch or so is what I did this time. And then I just keep going until it is straight and even on both sides. So I will keep looking in the mirror and I bring it down and evaluate it over and over again and just keep making the cuts until it's perfectly straight and even on both sides. And here you can see that I'm pulling it forward and actually trimming it in the mirror as it just lays against my body. That's a little bit easier toward the end to just make sure it's perfectly even versus pulling it with my fingers. The next thing I do is just take it about 2 inches above my ears and clip that section up and then repeat the same process. There's not nearly as much to cut here, but I want the bottom layer to be as thick as possible, so without layering it at all, and so that's why I bring it all down and keep it all just straight across and thick at the bottom. And so there's just a few scragglers here that I'm cutting even with what I've already done and using that bottom layer as my guide for where to cut this next layer and just keep it all even here. So here I've just pulled my first 2 bottom layers that I cut back into a little hair tie so that I don't get the top layers mixed up with that. And this is where the layering is going to come in and the most unhealthy part of my hair. So the first thing I do is just start shaping the sides, framing my face. I start on the one side under my chin, and then my bang area I section off and pull it forward. And then I just want to kind of angle it, and I want it to hit just under my chin if possible. There may be a few at the top that are a little shorter than that, but that just helps give it volume. So I take it straight down and then I kind of flip it backward and then just kind of look where I need to shape it. And then as you can see, I'm cutting into it so that it's not a very harsh angle. I just kind of go straight up into it, but you don't want to overdo this because you can create holes in your hair. So just start off slowly, and as you gain experience, you'll kind of know what works for your hair. But it just helps give it a fringy look instead of a very sharp, thick angle to your hair. The next thing I do is I section it off behind the bang area at the crown of the head, and I leave the bangs out, and then I begin to take that top section of hair, and I don't want too much to start out with, so I just take a small portion of the top of my hair, leave out the sides because I don't want that part of it. I pull it up like a mohawk, and then I just pull it down, and I'm actually cutting quite a bit here, but I just go like straight across with it, and you can see all of those kind of dead frizzy ends that I'm taking off, which I was so glad to get rid of. And then I am going to just put it back and then take a little bit more at the crown, even further back, and do the same thing, pull it up like it's basically a mohawk, and then you slide your fingers up, keeping it in the shape of the mohawk, and then you can pull it forward. And it's kind of weird because you feel like when you're pulling it forward you may not be cutting it right, but if you just make sure you keep it in that mohawk shape, it should be good. And then just go ahead and keep trimming to even it up with the other layers and pull it forward there. Then it will keep the bottom layer a little bit longer than the first layer that you cut, and then I would do that one more time here in a second. Now, so this last section that I'm taking up and bringing up, like I did the last two, is my final section that I'm going to do for layering. And this time I go back even further. You can see that it's not too much though. It's probably a little more than the 2 inches than the first 2 layers that I cut, because I don't want to cut that bottom. So it's probably like 2.5 inches from the top of my ear. And I'm just again pulling that forward in that same mohawk type position. And I'm not trying to make it a super sharp, perfect cut. You could see I didn't make it all perfectly straight. I just kind of cut it so that it would still remain a little bit soft. And then I'm evaluating how it looks, and we'll just go from here in a minute. So the next thing that I'm doing is I'm actually not going on the side framing my face, but I'm actually going like on the very top layer of my hair. And some people might think I'm crazy for doing this, but I feel like this adds a good amount of volume so that my hair doesn't get weighted down at the roots. It takes off a lot of the dead ends that I'm having and just allows me to shape my hair a lot more nicely. And so I take, these are sharp scissors, by the way. They are for actually cutting hair. They're not kitchen scissors or anything like that. You definitely want to use very sharp scissors here and just go along the top of my hair, and I basically shave just a very, very slight amount of hair off. And then I am kind of framing around my face again, and here you can see that I am cutting into it to soften that angle, and just to blend everything together, and just being careful that I'm not taking too much or putting any holes in it.
So my hair gets static electricity really easily, and that's why I am using the curling iron, is to tame that and control it, because as I was trying to cut it, I was getting all these flyaways that started standing up, and it was making it difficult to really see what I needed to do with my hair. So I just used it a little bit. That way I can continue to see where I need to shape. I'm probably taking off more than I normally would there. Not that it looks bad, it's just that my hair was, because I haven't cut it in so long and I do curl it quite a bit, it was getting very unhealthy, and I just wanted to take off as much as I could and still make it look okay. So I just kind of keep working and working on things until they get where I want. Again, here I'm using hairspray on it because of that static electricity for my particular hair that easily happens. And then here I'm doing the same thing on this side as I did the other, where I'm just going on the very, very top layer and very, very slightly shaving little pieces downward, just so that way I can get a better style and more volume at the roots. So here you can see that I'm using the same technique, but I'm going lower. The first time that I kind of shave around the top layer of my hair, I go probably about 4 inches from the roots to start, and then down here I'm kind of probably closer to where that bottom layer fell, and that just helps soften the transition from the layers to where it is all one length at the bottom. So here I'm just evaluating it and seeing if I like everything, if there's any stragglers or anything that I need to work on, which I think I've pretty much gotten everything. And so here I'm just finishing up the style on it and finishing it with some spray, and that is pretty much all that I do, and this is how I cut my hair.